What's going on, everybody? Teddy Baldassarre from teddybaldassarre.com. In this video, we're going to be looking at a watch available for purchase on my website with the Marathon Search and Rescue Jumbo. So we looked at a ton of other search and rescue models, so I think it's time to look at one for larger risk people out there. So at any point you have a question about this watch, I'll have a link in the description with more details on it where you can also purchase the watch. But in addition to that, if you're also working through your next purchase a little bit and you're looking at any watch on my website, you can actually book a call with me and I can help out where I can. So guys, let's take a closer look at this watch. Now looking at a rundown of the specs here, we have a case size of 46 millimeters, thickness of 17.5 millimeters, lug width of 22 millimeters, lug to lug of 55 millimeters, water resistance of 300 meters, movement is an automatic ETA 2836, crystal is sapphire, price is $1,360 on a rubber strap, and then $1,575 on a bracelet. And if you use promo code MJumbo at checkout, you can get 2 free straps with your purchase under $50. So before we get into the details of this piece, a little background on Marathon. So Marathon Watch Company has roots back to the early 1900s. It began really dipping its toes into the world of military-issued timepieces in 1941, producing watches and timing instruments for the Allied forces. In the decades following, this brand's ethos has really just been continued as they developed watches for military use, being used by US soldiers and Canadian Armed Forces. The company today operates out of Canada, with all their watches being produced in Switzerland, and really pride themselves on creating watches that can be more than suitable on both military personnel as well as enthusiasts that are just looking for a rugged watch that can take a beating. And when it comes to the entire search and rescue family of watches, it doesn't get much better at taking a beating than these. So I have previously looked at other search and rescue models with the G-Star at 41mm, the medium search and rescue at 36mm, and I also looked at the 41mm anthracite version with an IP-coated case. And all those cases I think were really good for that middle-of-the-road sizing. But with those types of buyers represented, I think it's time to look at a watch with a larger case for larger risks with this Marathon Search and Rescue Jumbo. Now with any watch with the word jumbo in its name, you probably know what it's going to be delivering in terms of size and looks. And to put it frankly, we have exactly what you would expect here, as the case certainly matches the description with a very large case size of 46mm in diameter, but probably most notably a lug-to-lug of 55mm and a thickness of 17.5mm. To be direct about it, this is certainly going to be a watch for a larger wristed individual, but given the typical type of consumers I could see gravitating towards these mil-spec watches, I think there's certainly a market for these. And I will say, these actually do wear a little bit smaller than I anticipated when you kind of say these specifications out loud, so a little added benefit there for those people that might be on the edge. Along the side of the case, we have crown and crown guards that come in with a nice knurling style that makes it really easy to engage with. In addition, given the brushed tool-like finish of the rest of the piece, this really provides a splash of style with an otherwise really down-to-business tool watch. The bezel follows the similar format to the other search and rescue models, with a unidirectional 120 click that is very smooth in its action and has a nice audible sound to it. This jumbo option has even larger notches on the edge of the bezel, just slightly extending beyond the case underneath to assist greatly with getting a grip. At the 12 on the bezel, we have a triangular tip that contains superluminova to assist in the watch's luminescence in the dark. Transitioning back to the wearing experience, this does wear a little bit smaller than I think is letting on with the actual just dimensions here. And I think a lot of that comes down to the lugs tucking quite nicely to the wrist and featuring lug holes again to assist with a variety of different straps when pairing with this watch. And with the lug holes on this to assist with a variety of different straps and these angled lugs, this is really going to assist in allowing this to not flare at all when putting on different straps. This watch comes with both a comfortable vulcanized rubber strap as well as a 3-link style bracelet. Both are great options, however, I think spending a bit more for the bracelet would be worth it in the long haul. It forms to the wrist well, has flexible pivot points at each of the links. The bracelet also features screwed in links. It is very breathable and has a secure clasp on the underside that you'd probably expect from a watch of this type, and has the inclusion of micro adjustment points in the clasp. Casting over the dial, we have the inclusion of a sapphire crystal, which will help this watch sustain its durable nature and provides view of the dial elements underneath. And I think there's going to be 2 things that you're going to notice right away when looking at this dial. One of them is just going to be how far within the case the dial sits, and that really comes as a result of the tritium tubes within.
As I try to mention in all my videos, with watches featuring tritium, it's a material that is going to be quite different from that of superluminova, for example, as unlike superluminova that responds to a light source to emit luminescence that will shine brighter than tritium, it will gradually fade quite quickly in comparison. On the contrary, tritium might not shine as bright as superluminova, but it does emit a constant light source and will not fade quickly like that of superluminova, making it a very good choice for those that are operating in complete darkness. That said, if you're familiar with vintage watches, you know that tritium will eventually fade, and Marathon states that these will last up to 25 years. The dial does not stop there with its tool aesthetics though. Along the outside of the dial, we do have a detail line minute track containing 1/4 of a second markers for precise timing, and writing of Swiss made at the bottom of the dial, where Marathon has been producing their watches since 1939. Also, the radiation symbol that shows that this watch is in compliance with the US Nuclear Regulatory Commission. A couple points of differentiation between this model compared to other search and rescue models is the inclusion of large white hour markers for the 12 hours on the dial, and the inclusion of a day date at the 3. Flipping the watch over, we have a few of the common military style markings on Marathon watches, such as the NATO stock number, the issued product code for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the cage number, for example. But beneath this caseback, we have the ETA 2836 caliber within, essentially the day date version of the 2824-2. I mean, this is one of the more popular Swiss-made movements, and with Marathon products, you could really expect some great performance out of these. And given the military standards that they try to sustain, you can't expect single-digit type of performance out of these Swiss movements. This watch operates at 4 Hz, 28,800 vibrations per hour, is hacking and hand winding, and has a 38-hour power reserve. Now, the Search and Rescue series from Marathon is easily one of, I think, the best built lines for around this $1,000 price tier. And if you like mil-spec watches, I think they're definitely on the go-to list for those individuals. The one thing I will say in terms of this watch, of course, you're going to need to have a larger wrist to occupy it, but I would imagine for those out there that do want something that's going to fit probably a little bit more true to a 44mm style case, they want something with some presence and just something that can just take a beating, this Jumbo here is a great one to take advantage of.
So guys, thank you again for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon if you did enjoy it. Also, if you're interested in purchasing this watch, link in the description down below to do so. And if you do have more questions, you can actually book a call with me and I can help out with this watch, as well as any other watch you're looking for on my website. So guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I will see you all very soon.